All right, guys, we have the new DRAC here. We're going to go over the initial inspection and prep on what you need to do to go ahead and build this thing. So basically, when you get the aircraft, the first thing you're going to want to do is just look at it, make sure it all looks, looks like it's pretty good, not dented and whatnot. And then the first thing we do with the airplane is we go through and we slice off the filler ports. So you can see here where I've already sliced off one of the filler ports, but basically you're going to get a new snap razor, and all the filler ports that are on the bottom of the aircraft's wings and fuselage, you're going to go through and you're going to slice these off nice and even. So just make them nice and clean, use a brand new snap razor. This really helps. After you clean all these ports off, what I usually do is I sand the airplane's shiny surfaces. Anything where glue is going to match up to any other part that's going to actually, have a surface where pieces are matching. So the spar slots all have these caps. So all these caps, I've gone through and sanded the shiny stuff off everywhere we're going to be putting glue and mating surfaces, because if you do that, this glue is going to stick much better. Because not many glues like to stick to EPP because it's a closed pore type foam. So the trick is to go ahead and get that stuff roughed in and scruffed in. So the main spar slots, I will run through those main spar slots and I will sand all of these out. I made this with a piece of skateboard grip tape. It's like about 80 grit and just a piece of the fiber. You can do it with just about anything you can think of, probably 80 grit sandpaper or whatnot. But go through and remove the shiny stuff on the inside of those spots. So you're going to want to do that to all the slots where any of these basically pieces are going to mount. So basically when you put your spars in, all these pieces go behind it, and you want the glue to adhere to them. So after you basically glue all this stuff together, you're going to be putting these in, and this will help everything stick together much better. When you're putting glue on shiny foam to shiny foam, it doesn't like to stick that well. And EPP itself really doesn't like a whole lot of stuff stuck to it. So basically you're going to take this aircraft and you're going to sand down all of your pieces where you're going to have mating pieces in spar slots or whatnot. Another thing I also do when I prep it is I also do the outer spar slots. We'll go through and sand all those out nice and smooth, because we want the glue to stick to these. Because if you don't do it, it just isn't going to stick as well. I also, after sanding all my spar slots out, anywhere I'm sticking glue, I also sand the motor mount, all the perimeter of the motor mount where the motor mount's going to actually go down. I sand all that down too, because that's all going to get glued in. So all these pieces, I give them a pre-prep and sand. Another thing I also do is come to the bottom of the airfoil. On the top of the airfoil, I've had this area left off. And it's because when we press these on the bench flat, it helps it out. So what I've also done is now, since I really like doing that on the top, I've actually started slicing them off the bottom. It's just something I've come up with since I've built a few of these already. So I'll go ahead and slice this area flat off here. So this area is off about to the first spar slot. And it makes this aircraft, when you're actually pressing the wings the other way on the table to get the trailing edge straight, it makes them sit on the table nice and even. And another thing I do, because I found that goop seems to work the best on this, is when I'm putting these spar slots in, I'll usually trim these back to where they're only sticking out about an inch, but I trim the edge of the slots out. After I trim these edges of the slots out, it allows this piece of fiberglass to hang out off the edge. So when I'm gluing these in and fill this spar channel with goop, I give them a couple spins, and at that point, if this is hanging out past, this really helps. And then once everything is glued up and dry after the day, you go ahead and clip these back nice and straight to the very edge. So that's the initial inspection and the initial prep to the airframe here. So I will go ahead and get the spar sleeves and spars actually cut, and we're going to go over the actual spar installation on the next video. But if you do these areas where you get all of your filler nubs cut off, you get a couple of these areas prepped, get everything sanded out, now you're ready to go ahead and to start putting in your spars. So that will be next.